Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look at that face. You look like a model there, Manny. What was that? What was that, dude? Oh, thank God for that. Welcome back to Hitting the Apex here on the Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel and the Five Reasons Sports Network. Joined here in on the show by the whole entire pit crew. It seems like here, Manny Chang, Vish, Moni, and Nick. What's going on, my peoples? How you guys doing?
Hey,
Doing all
hey.
What's
right. How
up?
are
What's
you?
up?
Interesting week we have coming up now with as us footballers like to call a bye week, I guess. It's kind of cool. Obviously, gives everybody some time to kind of get their act in order, get some things together, and do some different things. So we'll definitely go over that. We'll recap a little bit of Saudi Arabia, not a little bit. We'll recap all of Saudi Arabia now. We'll we'll go full circle with this, with everybody's take on how you guys felt the race went, and anything else that you guys want to add to that. And also, we will discuss. Finally, the F1 did announce Las Vegas, right? So it looks like Las Vegas is going to be official Thanksgiving weekend of 2023. So we'll discuss that, and we will also discuss whether three races is too much in the U.S. or if it's too little, or if it's just the right amount. Interesting takes. I think that'll be interesting to talk about a little bit before we get to it. Let's kind of go around the horn with. Actually, no, let's not go around the horn. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsor for today, baby. before Manny, before Manny
I was
kills
about to
me.
say something, dude. Do you have something else you want to do before you start going around the horn?
before Manny kills me, we got U Brake Wheel Fix. They repairs damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof within house. So all under one roof. Ethan doesn't know how to write these things, by the way. Okay, all under one roof. House powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel Off Road. They now even offer no credit check financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels, which is pretty cool. They got a fast turnaround times on all repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. So U Brake Wheel Fix is your local total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 146th Street. Check them out sometime for their great work across all their social media platforms, from Instagram to Facebook at U Break Wheel Fix. That's a U with a U, Break Wheel, WHEEL, Fix, or online at ubreakwheelfix.com. You can also give them a call, 305-748-0112, and schedule your appointment today. You Break Wheel Fix, changing the way you see wheels. All right. And now, Saudi Arabia. Wow, that's a lot of people on the screen. Can I jump in too? No, Tap, you're not welcome because you're another Colombia fan. You're
Oh
Colombia.
God.
Oh God, Red Bull
Oh
is
my God.
back.
Okay, no,
Jesus
no, 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 no,
Christ.
no, 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 no. Okay, I vote.
Colombian and a Red Bull fan. Unbelievable.
We're getting
Listen,
we're getting tag teamed here, man.
yeah, I mean, he was my roommate in college, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a good dude, but enough is enough, man. No
Yes, just give
more.
our viewers the benefit of the doubt. Just one show with a little bit less hate. It won't do you wrong. I promise.
Let me think about never is gonna happen.
Hey, man, McLaren scored points, so we're,
That's
we're
right,
right back.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo!
McLaren scoring points, baby.
Also ruined Hamilton's race. Woo!
Woo! Yeah, I'm fine. I don't care about that. This is how we're gonna start the show. There it is. There it is. Let's go around the horn with Saudi Arabia. Obviously, a lot of craziness going on in. Thanks, Moni, from Tap.
I got
Um,
you.
much love to you, man. We appreciate you coming on. You're probably our only viewer right now, so it's all good. Listen, check this out. I mean, it was an interesting race altogether. A lot of crazy things happening in qualifying and practices. Obviously, the big crash with Mick Schumacher, which thankfully he's okay. But uh, Latifi strikes again, which is pretty interesting, and so much more. Let's go around the horn. Let's start off with you, Vish. We'll go with you first on Saudi Arabia, since you didn't get a chance to talk on the post race reaction show. Talk to us a little bit about how you felt about the whole race, the whole weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought in the end it was good that you kind of had the top teams battling at the front, so you got that meritocracy happening. But I thought the overall it was a complete S show. Let's say, I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on this or not, so I'll go that way. Just you got a terrorist attack happening right near the track, and like we will race anyway, and then like that track is not safe, and it wasn't safe last year, and it's even worse this year when you have new cars they're not comfortable with, and I mean, you saw it happen in a mixed car, like that ain't right. Like, I mean, so you're sitting here, and so I'm sure you have some drivers that weren't pushing as hard as they could because they're like, I'm going home after this race. I'm not, dying on this track. Like, I think they're so good and skilled, and the cars are so safe. We forget how dangerous it is. Like, they shouldn't have been racing there. Also, I do wonder why they did back-to-back races to start the season with a brand new car. Like, it's not good to have Sonoda not being able to make it to the grid, have 3 cars like stall within a lap of each other. Like that's bad racing. It's bad for Formula One. So that kind of stuff, like, I thought was avoidable. Like, if this race was towards the end of the season, like it was last year, they'd know the cars a little bit better. They'd probably feel a little bit more comfortable driving on a track that's probably not the safest. And it would have given them another week to work out some of these reliability issues. I mean, Tsunoda's the only Honda powered or whatever Red Bull powered car that finished the first race and then couldn't make it to the track of the second one. This happens at the beginning of the year, and you'd like to have given them another week to work on reliability instead of packing everything up and being at the next track. But the race itself, once it got going, Perez got screwed by Latifi. But other than that, you did kind of have the top drivers. That battle between Max and Leclerc was awesome. Like that was really cool. I do think a slight adjustment for future races. Don't do back-to-back DRS zones like that. It's not a good thing when you have the top 2 drivers on the grid and the 2 fastest cars slamming on the brakes and locking up trying to be behind so that they can get DRS into the next zone. To me, that's not exactly, again, not the kind of racing you want to see. Like, they're actively trying to be in second so they have an advantage going into the next, like, that's not good. Mm-hmm. Those are some. I think there's some room for improvement, but I agree with Fernando overall. And it was good that, I mean, Checo got screwed, which sucks for him. But overall, you had those top teams still able to, despite kind of some of the farcical stuff we saw over the weekend, you had those top teams able to battle it out. That was a great back and forth battle across several laps. Again, these cars are much closer and able to follow. I do think they need to look at the DRS zones, though, too. It's the second week in a row where it was a bad idea to pass and actually take the lead because you lose it right back in the next DRS zone. I don't think we want that. We want, if there's a gap, we want
them to do it. I think some people may want it because it adds to a little bit of the excitement, right? They're going back and forth, they're battling it out.
Back and forth is great, and I think they could still have gone back and forth because the cars are evenly matched. Where I thought it crossed the line into kind of more of comical was they were actively trying to be behind.
Sure.
And actually, this happened last year too. This is where when Hamilton ran into Verstappen got the penalty last year in this race. He was trying to give the spot back, but he was trying to do it right in that place so that he could then retake with the DRS. So, I mean, they could have fixed this before the race. Don't have those 2 DRS zones right on top of each other. You don't want it to be an advantage to be second. To me, you don't want to create a situation where it is, and all they had to do was just get rid of one of the DRS zones, and it would have kind of solved that. But overall, yeah, I agree with Fernando. It was really good racing. It was wheel to wheel. It was fair too. No one was pushing each other off or doing anything cheap. And it was exciting. And I think again we're kind of seeing these top cars are very competitive, which is good because even last year, I mean, at the end they were kind of battling on track. You saw at the back half, but most of the rest of the year, even though Mercedes and Red Bull were swapping wins, there were Red Bull tracks and Mercedes tracks. They're both rarely competitive at the same track where they'd be 10 seconds apart. It's just a different one would be in front. So overall, the first 2 races have been really exciting to see cars this evenly matched and able to kind of swap it at each other like that.
Moni, I want to go to you because we got reactions from Manny and from Nick, and we'll get to you guys also. But there was some really great battles, as he mentioned, also in the midfield, right? So you got to see teammates battling it out. You got to see Alonso and Ocon going after it, and I think overall, like he said, the race was good. Latifi strikes again, but talk to me a little bit of how you felt about the race as a whole, the whole event, all 3 days. What was your take on this?
It was, in my opinion, it was an insane weekend. I feel like there were so many things that ideally are not supposed to happen that happened. So it was just like a twist after another twist. And then, as you guys said, the race itself was super exciting. Personally, I was uh, really overtaken by the Ocon and Alonso battle. I thought it got pretty intense. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when two teammates are battling it out, it gets intense. So I really like to see that. Um, and I mean, Checo, speechless. I didn't see that coming. It was horrible. But yeah, overall, I think this race brought a lot of surprises. It was really intense, as you guys said, a lot of battles, and I don't know. I feel like as we prep for Australia, um, I feel like it left like a little bit of like a weird like flavor as to what's gonna happen in Australia. Like so many things went down that it really just opened up the window for different teams and different drivers to really kind of set a plan, having in mind everything that went down in Saudi Arabia to avoid, any other difficulties or disasters to happen in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, look, you bring up a great point, which I think is is important. We'll definitely get to it on, what a lot of these teams are going to do to get better, to get faster. We heard, Red Bull trying to lose some weight. I say trying to lose some weight, but you guys know what I mean.
You're not going to do that drinking Red Bull, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Red Bull and vodka, baby. By the way, I hate that stuff, and I hate drinking. I don't drink Red Bull, thank God. That's just terrible, man. But anyways, I digress.
So just real quick on point Moni touched on. Checo beat Max for pace, which I don't know that we saw. Like he smoked him in qualifying, and he was controlling that race. He was controlling that race. That opens up so much possibilities.
He also, I think, he had the fastest lap until I think maybe the final lap or the one before where Max just killed it, obviously.
But he had the pace there. I mean, it wasn't a fluke that he was in front, and then he controlled that. He got pulled out in front, was just controlling the entire race until Latifi did Latifi things.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask Nick. Checo again ran a brilliant race up until the Latifi crap, but does he win this? Does he win this race if that doesn't happen, or is there still an opportunity? Look, Leclerc ran the fastest lap eventually at the end, but I mean he did pull out to a pretty nice lead. Does he finish it off and take the podium?
I think probably there is a very good chance that he would have won. I know Leclerc was still running a really good race. I think he was only like 2 seconds behind at that point. But Checo was still controlling pretty much the whole race. But I think if Latifi hadn't crashed, it definitely would have been probably Leclerc and Checo 1-2, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think that I mean, it just so happens that he ends up doing this a lot, and it's just funny to me. By the way, Manny, put that back up because these are your boys that he's talking about here. What did your boy Patrick? By the way, shout out Patrick, Dr. Off.
What did George Russell do to Patrick?
Well, it depends on what season he's talking about. Is he talking about when
last season with Williams Racing?
Yeah, with William. I'm not sure, but I like George Russell. I think he's a hell of a driver, man.
Patrick,
I don't think we want a Will Smith from George Russell just yet.
Oh my God!
I don't know what you're talking about, Patrick, but I'll back you. We gotta support our fans, man. If we want to slap George Russell, go for it.
And I totally get the whole. I'm an expert now because I watch Drive to Survive. I definitely am an expert because I watch Drive to Survive. So I totally get it, man. Big shout out to him as well, Manny. I mean, listen, we spoke about it on Sunday, but. At the end, let's talk about your boys for a second, right? George Russell finishing in the top 5. Mm-hmm. Hamilton doing all right up until the end, right, where he kind of fades out a little bit. But talk to me a little about how you felt the midfield did kind of in this whole entire.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I don't think he faded out. Like, he had an opportunity to go to pit early, and would have probably had a much, faster vehicle with 8 to 9 laps to go. But the simple of the matter of the fact is that the virtual safety car, whatever you want to call it. I guess the rules are the rules. I didn't know the rules fully until I actually read them. So once that virtual car thing comes out, the pits are closed.
No, that's not
Right?
that's not the rule. What happened
Not
is
the rule?
because they have the option of closing the pits because Ricardo was blocking the pit entrance, they closed it.
But here's
And
my issue. The
actually
vehicles
2
were
years
off the
ago,
road.
right? But that doesn't. If they put a message out that the pit's closed, you cannot pit. And the reason Hamilton got screwed is he was going past that right when Ricardo stalled there. And 2 years ago in Monza, in a similar situation, they stalled. He went into the pits anyway and pitted, and it was closed, and he had to go to the back. They gave him like a massive penalty. So I think, even though it was technically still open when he got there, he could have actually dive bombed into it because he could have gotten in there right before they closed it. He saw the car there. He flashed back to 2 years ago. And was like, I'm not risking that.
Yeah, it was too close, right?
He's in last place if he pits when it's closed. The amount of penalties you get for that because it's a safety thing. So it's not that it's always closed. It's that in this, if there's any kind of anything blocking the pit lane or anything like that, they will close it. They had not officially closed it yet, but he knew they were about to, and he didn't want to risk what happened in Monza 2 years ago, where he was dominating the race, and they called him in, and he drove in, and it was closed, and he got penalized. That's how Gasly won that race.
Well, I guess then overall, like for Wolf and the team to actually just say, "Listen, Lewis, just run on hard tires, and we'll see what happens." And he actually lasted pretty long, more than anyone, right? And then obviously, like again, if we would have been able to pit one more time, I'm pretty sure a top 10 finish would have been much more improved. But I give him still a lot of credit because starting what was it from 16th, or then I think with Sonoda not being able to even race, he started at 15th. And then he actually passed Stoll, right? Or freaking Stoll, whatever his name is. Freaking prick, because it's because of his ass he was out of Q1. Listen, but overall, like I think since the main topic was Lewis, but let's flip it over to Russell, man. I think he knew that the Mercedes weekend, it rested on his shoulders. He needed to somehow just maintain it up to the top, and I feel like he had the best car going in, even though it seemed like him and Lewis had both the same, guess. Not the same vehicle, obviously, but the same amount of speed and traction and whatnot. And then now it comes out, which I'm gonna pull up the tweet now. Mercedes has now said that Hamilton's bottom flooring, like his whole bottom part of his car, is totally not what they want it to be. They will be stripping it completely down in Barcelona and seeing what else they'll do to it. But it's quite clear that Lewis was not comfortable with the vehicle. The vehicle wasn't even ready to even be in qualifying, right? It's so funny because we saw practice 1 and 2 the day before. Lewis and Russell were both 5 and 6. Basically, what I actually predicted and what we most thought, even with last week, right? We knew that Ferrari is going to be better. We know that Red Bull, they were already there. Mercedes was going to be the team behind them. So then you kind of see the results happening. You're like, well, out of all the drivers for this to be happening, it's Lewis's vehicle. Like, it's not even Russell, it's Lewis's. And he's losing basically straight on speed. And you're like, that's just, what the hell is this? What the hell's going on? But again, like, you can't really do much to fix a car in 24 hours. I don't care, you know what I'm saying? And then, Vish, tell me if I'm wrong, though. There's a rule, right? Because you're like our F1 5-hour expert. You can strip the vehicle a day before a race, but then you got to start in the final position. Is that correct?
Yeah, if it goes into what's called park permit. You really can't touch it. So if you start touching it, you'll start getting penalties.
So I would have said go ahead and risk it, but I understand they didn't want to do that because, man, if Lewis doesn't even finish 15th, I mean, that looks horribly wrong, right? So
plus, if they were to make changes, they wouldn't have an opportunity to test them. So I think they knew
they were going
to not even finish off, and you're just stripping it down. Now you're able to see what's going on there. But again, I think this whole race thing, when it comes to the whole Mercedes performance, you have to give credit to Russell, man. He held his own. He didn't lose any pace. He just stayed right behind the top 2 teams, which we know are much better right now, especially engine-wise. So, I will take it. Again, though, if Hamilton gets an opportunity to go one more time into the pit and get some, fresher tires, I forgot. I think he ends up with mediums or whatnot, with nine laps to go or something. But still, who knows what would have happened
We'll actually get to we'll get to tires now because I think that's the next topic for
Well,
Can I
sure.
just give a credit to the Haas team?
I wanted
Real-
to touch on some of the things.
Well, just touching to what Manny just said. So when you start back like that, Hamilton I thought was doing a great recovery drive. He was passing people. He was working his way through the field, and he needed that luck to happen. And he got bad luck. Like if Ricardo had not stalled in the pit exit, he wouldn't have been able to get that extra pit stop under a virtual safety car and kind of maintained his spot and essentially stolen a pit stop. And that would have allowed him to get up the field and probably challenge Russell. But because it went the other direction on him, just the timing of that kind of screwed him. But I think they were just hoping he could work his way through the field because they've seen him do it. And he was in the process of doing that. Without any of those safety cars, he probably finishes higher as well. He had worked his way up through the field. It was just, when you're trying to make that charge from the back, everything's got to work out, and it did not for him.
Also, Jazz, may I just mention this one thing because we kind of talked about it. Sergio was asked after the race, like, you've been, doing this for a long time. It's your first ever pole. But he basically screwed that question, and he said, this track scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I think it scared the shit out of a lot of people.
This track to him, it felt like, especially coming, into the new season, where now we all know what Formula One and right, they want to have every team at a cap number. They want to make sure that everything gets even as possible because they want to get ratings. They wanted it to be competitive. They want other teams to be in the mix. But I don't think Formula One is really taking into consideration and in heart their drivers and how much they're risking. You had a bombing on Friday.
Yeah.
Basically, you had the drivers sitting in a meeting till 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and yet you come out, and yet the statement didn't even look like a statement. It was basically saying, we're going to go race. It's still a positive. And I know that Nick kind of mentioned it once or twice, too, over the weekend. Well, they probably would have not been able to leave or whatnot. But still, man, like, for Checo to come out and say that, like, in his mind, it wasn't even about making pole. For him, it was like, bro, this is fucking scary. Like, you saw what happened to Mick. Like, his vehicle bumped, and his shit went 360 times 3.
Well, by the way,
and you'd like to think that this would cause, we know it's not going to happen, but you'd like to think it would cause Formula One to reevaluate some of the countries they're racing in. If you honestly think, like, there's a terrorist attack and you're like, we need to cancel this race, but you're afraid of the local authorities and what they're going to do if you do that, maybe you shouldn't be in that country.
Yeah.
We know how Formula One is. That's not going to happen. But there was definitely, reading between the lines of their statement, there was a little bit of, if we try to leave, they might not let us if we cancel this race.
Well, Nick said that. Nick mentioned it. Nick mentioned it in the post race that they were scared for that. They weren't even at that point. It was just like, we're scared that they're not going to be able to let us. They're not going to let us leave the country. Forget about.
That's the case. Then the Saudis got to make a much safer track. You have all these other boundaries all over the damn place with concrete.
Yeah,
like no wonder makes.
But at the end of the day, yeah, they were scared to race.
Man.
They were scared to race because the track is shit.
And it's the second race of the season, Jazz. New cars.
Right. And you've got brick walls as opposed to barriers that are rubber or with more protection on them. So of course, and like Fernando mentioned, you're going 85%. You're going full throttle almost 85% of the time, whatever it is. You're hauling ass through that circuit, and that's a scary thing. But I think even scarier, and Nick mentioned it, I want to get Nick and Moni's reaction again on this before we kind of move on to the tires and whatnot, is it was even scarier the fact that what you said, Nick, they were gonna give him a hard time to leave the country. That's wild to me. Like that, I mean, that's scarier to me because of the way that the world is right now, and you have FIA or whoever it was, or the country, or the Saudis telling you this. That for me is even scarier than running full throttle on this circuit.
Yeah, like I said earlier this week with Saudi Arabia, it's very hard to tell them no, and so
because of the money,
because of all the oil money and because of all the royalties and all that kind of stuff that they have. So when it comes down to it, it's cancel the race and lose a bunch of money and possibly not even be able to leave the country until you do race, or just race, get it over with, and get the hell out. So I think they pretty much said, let's just get it over with, get the hell out, move on to the next one.
Well, okay, so Moni, I'll throw this to you, Gus, if you can put it up again, Manny, because that was interesting. It makes total sense. Why even go back there next time if they fear they won't even? Right. So my thing is, do you just boycott it altogether? Do the drivers come to a conclusion? To come to an agreement next year before even the race, and say, or even before the season starts, and say we're not going to race
It's
there.
that easy though, Jazz.
I understand there's more to it. I understand there's more to it, Manny. But at the end of the day. And let's just put it this way, and I know comparing basketball, the NBA, and the NFL to F1 is a little bit different, but when the players say something, they listen, right? When the players decide they want to boycott something, or the players decide they want to, hey, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, period, things change. Does it have to start with the drivers, Moni?
I feel like that's a good starting point. I mean, let's face it. I think that the drivers, they went into a race with a lot of things in their minds surrounding them like being in Saudi Arabia. And we have like 3 different, I don't know what happened to Mick, the explosion. Like, to be honest with you, I have no idea why there is a debate about whether you should race or not if there's an attack, And yes, the main argument would be money. But I don't see, it feels like a little bit of like a stab in the back to the players. I'm sorry, to the drivers. And coming to your question, Jazz, I feel like not the players, I keep saying players. I'm too used to.
I know. I want to say players.
I'm too used to teams.
Hold on, money. Not to cut you off. What, guys? The most popular driver.
But this is different, though.
Of this sport.
No, Manny, hold on. Time out. But you're comparing it to him saying it in the middle of the situation, then pre or post season. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about making the decision right then.
Like, it's problematic if you're at your race, it's practice or whatever, it's qualifying. It's problematic if a driver just goes and says, "Sorry, I don't want to do this." It's realistically speaking, they're not just gonna not race, especially even if they're vocal about it. It's not gonna happen. There's too many like implications when it comes down to a Formula One race. Right. But I definitely think that if the players were to get together, they were to talk to their teams and stuff, and they were vocal about it, let's say post-season or something, or even before the season finishes or something, it can definitely move a little bit of mountains. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, Saudi Arabia is going to be gone. I don't know about that. But, I think it's definitely a good starting point, Jeff. I really think it starts with the drivers.
Go ahead, Vince. You want to say something?
Yeah, just real quick on that. The thing is, like, in the drivers off, especially in Formula One, are kind of the conscience of the sport. You see Vettel and Hamilton in particular really outspoken. They'll go to issues where there aren't, rights for gay people, and they'll wear rainbow-colored stuff just to shove it in their face, because what are you going to do to us? Right? Kind of thing. Right. But it would be nice if the teams and the FIA would show some leadership for once and not put everything on the drivers to have to ground up do everything. Like, This is a country that women don't have rights in, right? They can't drive to the track. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Why are we even in this? Why are we putting the drivers in a position where they have to say, I'm not going to race on principle? Like, who thought going to Saudi Arabia was a good idea? Seriously, we had to cancel Russia now, like as if Russia hasn't been a problem before this.
I know who.
Right?
I don't understand. That's who thought so. Right.
I mean, this is the problem, right? Like, and I understand you get into a slippery slope where it's like, okay, because you can find something wrong with every country and then say, well, why are we there because of reason X, Y, or Z? But Saudi Arabia is not a gray area, and I feel it always comes back to the drivers because they're the most visible. What does Hamilton think about this? What does Vettel think about this? What does Max think about this? They're race car drivers. Their job is to drive the car, not to deal with the political implications of the decisions FIA made. And to me, it's unfair to them to expect them to somehow, not race and frankly disadvantage their. Can you imagine if if Max or Hamilton had boycotted a race last season on principle, they would have blown the championship. Like you can't, putting them in that position is not fair. And I know it's never going to happen because all the FIA cares about is money. But to me, it's disappointing, and I love this sport. It's disappointing when they do things like this.
Before we move on to the next topic, Vish, I agree with you. I'm not going to directly compare it, but when I think of the FIA, FIFA kind of comes to mind. FIFA
That
comes
is
to
an
mind,
excellent comparison.
right? Like
Excellent comparison worldwide. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, FIFA is doing a World Cup in the winter in Qatar, so surrounded by a lot of controversy because that's where the money's at. And I agree 100% with Vish. It shouldn't be the driver's responsibility. It shouldn't be a soccer player's responsibility to advocate for anybody's safety. That should just be a governing body's responsibility. But then it's like when someone who's visible, when someone who matters speaks up, then that should ruffle some feathers. But I agree 100% with Vish. It's really not the driver's responsibility. They're there to drive the car, and that's it.
The problem is that how many times do we see a governing body put their tail between their legs and not say anything? And that's the problem, and that's why that's why the onus falls on a lot of time on the players or the athletes.
Right.
And that's the sad part.
Or Jazz, be like the National Football League and say, yes, we know that there's issues. We're trying to find, we are looking for solutions, or we will work on it. We will work on it. But we know what that means. That basically means it's not going to change unless something drastically happens.
Something drastically did happen. They just bombed it.
Listen to me though. Remember a couple of years ago during the pandemic?
Yeah, it's minor explosion, not a big deal.
Yeah, but hold on. Remember a couple of years ago with the NBA? The NBA was like, well, we'll do this for George Floyd. Players were like, no, wait a minute. We're not even going to go out onto the court. I forgot which teams they were. But they're like, we're not going to go onto the court anymore until you guys are saying, until you tell us that this is going to be happening and this is going to be going on. And once freaking Adam Silver, he gets the call like, oh shit, wait a minute, we have TV contracts, we got people watching, and yes.
It's tough, man. It's a slippery slope.
We're talking about a regular season NBA game versus a Formula One race. Everyone counts. It's like a playoff. Everything is a playoff game. The other thing is, when it changes, when the corporate sponsors threaten to pull the money. That's the only thing that moves these people. Yep. Like if Shell goes to Ferrari and says, if you were obviously Shell, the oil industry is so tied up in Formula One. It's like Saudi Arabia is their home. It's just like it's so like dirty. It's a dirty circle there. But if like sponsors say, you know what, if you race there, we're not going to sponsor you, then they'll all of a sudden find a moral compass. We saw that with the NFL. Once like once like the sponsors like Coke were kind of like, we don't like this, then all of a sudden they were like making statements in support.
Russia, isn't it?
What they did where?
That's what they did with Russia this year, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, well, Russia literally is just attacked another. I don't think that one, even that one, FIA could not like. Let's go to Sochi right now. I don't think
the reason why this Russian driver is no longer in Formula One was because there was a certain company from Russia that was getting money into his
dad's company.
Well, there's multiple reasons, but his dad's an oligarch, so he can't give them the money anyway now because it's illegal. Because basically every country has banned Russians from moving their money in and out. So, yes, so I don't think one of the worst drivers in Formula One history is really going to get to keep driving when he didn't have the money behind him.
Thank God for that.
But the fact that he was even in Formula One is, again, another just money talks. That guy couldn't drive for shit. Like, he shouldn't have been there.
He was terrible. Moving on to a very important topic of discussion as we found out that apparently it is official that that Formula One will be in Las Vegas next year, Thanksgiving weekend. Looks like it's the 3-day weekend right after. So starting, essentially, right Black Friday, right? So in Las Vegas, it looks like that looks like what? That's the circuit, Manny, that you're looking at there, more or less. So they did mention something which I thought was interesting. If you look at that circuit, you don't see many turns per se. What you see is 90-degree, a lot of 90-degree angles, and
it has Vish's favorite, lots of DRS.
This I mean, I don't know how I feel about this, but before we get into the whole discussion of the Americas as a whole, the USA having 3 races, how do you guys feel about Las Vegas? How do you feel about this circuit per se that we're seeing here on the screen? We'll start off with you, Nick. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's good for us because I know we want to try and attract more fans to Formula One. I think an issue would be, you know, are we trying to not really monopolize, but basically take, Formula One away from like the European market, pretty much? Are we trying to Americanize Formula One without even having any American drivers in it?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously we all want to see more. We want to see some American drivers. I think I'd want to see some American drivers. The fact
Yeah.
of the fact of the matter is that you know they're putting up money for this, right? And so it's Vegas. It's Vegas, baby. So everybody goes there to party.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about. I'm not a big fan of Vegas. I think Vegas is overrated to begin with. But then putting a race there is, I think, just a little bit of overkill when it comes to the U.S. I think I would have chosen a different place. That's neither here nor there. I kind of want to kind of get to the whole USA thing, right? Because you hear a lot of Europeans now really trashing the fact that now the U.S. has 3 races, right? They thought, hey, 2 was enough, and the big conversation with the European F1 fan is culture. And, well, we want to see, these races in different parts of the world because we want to experience their culture. Listen, my guy, 99% of you are watching from your TV. There's no way you're going to experience the culture unless you drive or fly your happy ass to one of these tracks to begin with. Number one. Number two, you don't understand how much culture there is really in the United States. If you look at our show, for the love of God, look at everybody that's in this show, and you want to tell me that there's no culture when it comes to F1 in the United States? This is a perfect example right here, right? So, like, for me, for the European fan that talks about, well, the culture's not there, and there's F1 fans are only in America because of Drive to Survive. Maybe not. The point is, they're still fans, and they still love the sport. And guess what? They're throwing down some paper for it, right? So if we're following the money, does it really matter, right? At this point, I mean, because does it contradict what a lot of people say? Well, we got to follow the money, and that's why we're racing in Saudi Arabia. And that's why we're racing here and there. Well, we're racing in Vegas because there's money. We're racing in Miami because there's money, because they're building a track for the race, and they're spending so much money. They're throwing in so much. Like, talk to me about how you guys feel about the fact that there's more races now in the U.S. than in maybe the U.K. Vish, go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's several things going into this. You mentioned Miami's in the United States. It's an international city. It's the gateway to South America. So it's kind of a.
Some would say it's not in the United States. I'm just kidding.
And I will tell those. I will tell those someone what the United States is actually about, which is diversity.
Absolutely.
And Miami
100%.
is a microcosm of what the United States should be. But so for a lot of people, they'll view that race as kind of the race for the whole region. You'll have a lot of people coming in from South America for that race as well. So that one's a little bit different. The other thing to think about is just the geographic size of the United States. I understand it looks weird when you got 3 races in one country, which is not a traditional F1 country. But we are a nation of immigrants, so a lot of people come here from all over that are F1 fans. So it's not just Americans living in America that are the F1 fans here. A lot of them trace their roots back to other places where they've been, grown up watching F1. The other thing is, because of the space in this country and the different climates, you can race here year round. If you look at when these races are, we got Miami in May, Vegas in November. You can't do that in Europe. You can't race in Europe in November. It's freezing.
Right.
So, I mean, all of that comes into play here. The geographical expanse of the United States lets you put more races there. How many tracks do they even have in the UK? It's not that big. The climate's very moderate there, and you can really only race in the summer because it's too cold otherwise. Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago when they were doing with COVID, they kind of shifted the calendar. Like, they tried to race in Germany, I think October, and everyone was freezing. You can't do it. Like, so.
And the cars don't perform as well either, right?
No, they don't perform. They're having all sorts of trouble with the engines, and everyone's just cold. It's like, this is not the way F1's supposed to be. So that's why you do see them take it. That's why Australia's always near the front, because they're in the other hemisphere. So it's winter here, it's summer there, right? I mean, all of that comes into play. Right. So that's why there's three. It's obviously because of money too. But yes, you can race in Vegas in November. They haven't. I would have a bigger problem if they started taking away some of your traditional races and replacing them with what would be considered more plastic races like Vegas, where like, hey, Vegas is cool.
They have taken. Didn't they take Spa away now? Is it Spa gone? Or is Spa still around?
Not that I know of. I hope not. I like that track.
Legendary race. They wouldn't.
Yeah, no.
There was one that they took out, but I guess it was.
I mean, there's a few races that used to be on the calendar that weren't. Like they used to race at the Nürburgring, but like they can't do that anymore anyway. That track's not safe for modern F1 cars. So it's stuff like a lot of these older European tracks. Frankly, the new cars, it's not safe to run on them. So, yeah. but like the traditional races are pretty much still in place. It's just I mean, we discussed this last week. Like, is it a good idea to add another up to 30 races? I don't know, but
right.
They're not taking away. You know, it's either we do this race in Vegas, or we just have one less race. Who's complaining about having an extra race? I mean, because the idea that they're going to take Vegas away in November and go race somewhere in Europe in November, that ain't happening. So to me, I think that's a lot of just, frankly. We deal with this a lot as Americans when we talk about soccer or Formula One, but it's a lot of those Americans. This isn't their sport, kind of hating on our country, and you know what? Screw them. I don't care.
Really quick. Patrick said, "Does Asia have a race? Put one in Honolulu." Yeah, they have. Well, they have one in Japan, don't they? So there's a race in Japan.
I mean, all these Mideast races are actually in Asia too.
So. They used to have one in China. Proximity to Asia with Honolulu. I totally get that.
Yeah, so there's Japan now. I mean, they've raced through several Asian. Obviously, the Middle East is also in Asia, so all of these races count. But they've raced in China, they've raced in Korea, they've raced in India. They were. I don't know if it's back on the calendar. Vietnam was scheduled for when COVID hit, so they had to cancel it. So there's definitely there are several races in Asia. Yeah.
Jack Daniels writes, the track around Dolphin Stadium is trash. Now, okay, doesn't showcase our city. So is it trash because it doesn't showcase our city? Or is it trash because they're building a completely state-of-the-art track? Because I don't know if that's what you would consider trash. I think I understand what he's trying to say, you know, with, it doesn't showcase our city. Well, it kind of is going to. If you really look at what they're building inside the track, it's going to be absolutely incredible what they're doing there. And I get it because it's not in the greatest of neighborhoods per se, and what you have around there is not, you know, the greatest area and so on. But if you just look at Hard Rock is like its own little city. If you guys have you know, if any of these fans have ever been there, so I think that, you know, having the I understand that Biscayne and the track that they used to have and what they did there before is beautiful. But you have to take into consideration, you know, the city, right? And how it's going to be built there. I mean, you're going to do something like what they're doing in Vegas. What they've done, I think it looks great, but I totally understand what he's saying, that it doesn't showcase the actual city itself.
Let me say this. So I know a few years ago they had the track design kind of around South Beach and all that, and I think that's what they initially wanted to do, but they didn't really factor in that Miami is overpopulated and has a shit ton of traffic. And so if you close all these main roads that are on South Beach and or like you close the main road that is heading into South Beach, it will just block up the entire thing and people will get pissed off and money will be lost. So that was probably the reason.
I'll answer that question, Sir Jack Daniels again. So you think people around the world say, oh, look at that stadium, let's travel there. Yeah, I'll tell you why I know that, yes, that the answer to that question is yes, because the stadium holds 90,000 people for this event. They sold over 200,000. So they oversold this race 6 months ago already. So yeah, people all over the world, when you say Miami, I don't think it really matters if it's in Miami Gardens or South Beach. People all over the world are going to travel to go to this event, and they're going to go travel, and it doesn't matter where you're from. I guarantee you they will. They oversold it already. I know because I'm going to the race and we bought tickets to it. It's not like I'm going, no. We know what's going on. I have a ticket representative. They oversold the event. So absolutely people will want to come.
To be fair, Jazz, I agree with you because there was a lot of controversy when, although you can't really compare the Formula One race to the Miami Open. But when the Miami Open left Biscayne Bay, there was a lot of controversy about how it was not going to compare, and it doesn't necessarily compare to the park in Biscayne Bay, but the experience that they're able to build, like state of the art, brand new stuff that they were able to take to the Hard Rock Stadium for the Miami Open. It was beautiful, and I've seen pictures of they're gonna have pools and cabanas like at the Hard Rock for Formula One. I don't see it as a problem. I don't think it is that bad as Jack poses it. I understand like where he's coming from, but no one is gonna say like, let me not go to Miami because they're not gonna race around South Beach. Like, I don't think that's necessarily the problem.
No, yeah. So after you finish the race, if you don't want to stay in the yacht club, or if you don't want to stay in the beach and listen to one of the world's best DJs in the beach club, I mean, if you don't want to do any of those really cool things that they're going to have, all those activations there, then grab an Uber and go half an hour down to South Beach and then go party in South Beach. Which, by the way, clearly, whoever wants to party in South Beach really doesn't know Miami anyways to begin with.
Yeah.
So the other thing I would just say is, and Moe touched on this, there's the tennis tournaments there. People go there to watch the Super Bowl, college football playoffs, like
concerts,
big shows, book
WrestleMania even hosted a show.
Exactly, like this is an entertainment venue that people go to all the time.
100%.
So I get it's not it's not on the beach, but I don't think anyone's gonna care, to be honest.
I don't think so.
But they'll probably have a huge blimp over and getting a whole view of everything from up high. So
I will say this to Jack's comments. Jack, I don't know if you live down here, but just for the fact that it's in Miami, in the area, in the vicinity, people are still going to book. They're still going to travel. They know that once they get to the race the day before, they have so much to do. Either you go 20 minutes to the beach, you go 20 minutes south towards South Beach, you can hit 15 minutes north to the Hard Rock. There's so much to do.
By the way, the Hard Rock and the Guitar Hotel are already sold out.
Correct. Well, there you go. My point, to be exact. So just because, and I understand, it's very important, I guess, for us, for people that are very prideful of the city, and it's 305 till I die, or however else they say it. But I think this might have been the best situation possible for a race in this area. And exactly. I don't say that only because, well, yes, would have I loved to see Fast and Furious, how they had that movie part 2 right next to the AAA? Yeah, of course. Come on. Like, that'd be actually pretty cool. That's not going to happen. Okay. Miami.
By the way, downtown is a dump too, bro. So what are we even talking about here?
Yeah, it's really not. It's really
no. We're talking about.
It's not very good.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I kind of get his point in that, like, you could race past like the ocean and the bay, and you could like see the backdrop and the palm trees, and instead we're in the Walmart parking lot. Like, I get it.
Yeah, but
I mean, he's not completely off base with some of this, but I just don't think it's gonna matter. But
my thing is, like, for South Beach in particular, do people actually know how the streets look like? Do they actually know it's one way this way and the other side's the other way this way? And there's millions of people that pay rent, have jobs to do, and all this other stuff. Like, they're not going to close that down for a 3-day weekend because you got qualifiers and then you have the race.
Mm-hmm.
That's no way.
Yeah, and then Monaco was mentioned. A couple of things on Monaco. There's 40,000 people that live in Monaco. They're all like filthy rich. They don't need to get around town for a weekend.
Plus, they can all just walk around.
Yeah, and then the second thing is that track actually sucks.
It does. It's
like, if you care about the racing, like, this will be much better for racing.
Yeah,
so.
Well, Monaco has history, so they would never.
Yeah, no. Monaco's fine as a historical, and it's its own thing. It's like an event unto itself. That's great for them. But, like, would you recreate that in another city with the same kind of track? No way. Like, I don't know if that's exactly the target. You want the racing itself to be good.
Right.
Can I just say my real quick comments about Vegas? I think it's a great idea. I think what I don't like is that if it's going to be added, which it looks like it will be, it's I would have actually enjoyed it saying per se, we'll take out the Austin one and we'll have the Vegas one for this year, right?
Right.
And in particular, there's only one race in South America, and I know plenty of fans down there that love Formula One. Not only that they live in Brazil, like I know Argentina will be down to do it without question. Like I have friends that have been living down there that have been watching Formula One for years and years to come, and they're like, "Damn, if Brazil can do it, Argentina
Chile.
definitely can do it." But again, what is it about? It's about money, and I think Fernando even mentioned it. And I think I saw a report: $50 million.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money. 50, like
That's
Jesus, dude. Like again, Brazil has the capabilities of this. Why? They host World Cups, they host Olympics, they host major tournaments that they get the money, they build big facilities, and the rest of the money they pocket. And obviously, they can get other things like Formula One and things like that. Countries like Argentina, they're not suited for those things. So of course, they will never be in consideration for that at all. But again, I don't have an issue with the Vegas race, but I would have liked for it to get replaced for an Austin one, because I don't think we need two races in the same, I guess not in the same state, but it's basically right next to each other. It's like what is there to possibly do once you hit Vegas for the 3 days? You really want to go to Austin for 3 days?
Dude, man, you just made everyone that calls us coastal elites valid by saying that Austin and Vegas are anywhere near each other. It's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like a
By the way,
2.5 hour flight.
Austin's
Yeah,
a cool little town to go
Yeah.
for a couple of days, man, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. So they're gonna go for a couple of days, they're gonna enjoy it, and then get out. This is the same thing they're gonna do here in Miami.
But I actually think, if you look at the cities that they're racing in, Miami is its own thing, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like Miami.
Absolutely.
Austin is very different too. It's unique. It's not even like the rest of Texas is very different from Austin. And then Vegas, Lord knows that's its own thing.
Yep.
So even though you're in the same country, you're getting 3 very different experiences.
Manny, I just gave you the link for.
Yes.
I know Patrick is asking
try
about
to
the Miami
do it
track
the 3D one. Hold on, give me a second here.
because I think it's interesting.
Actually,
I have actually the link for the track with. I think it's that's a really cool video. Yeah, that's a really cool.
So
video.
this is basically what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, and I have the one that shows you where all the activations are gonna be. But it's in my other inbox, so it's a pain in the ass to get. But just so you can kind of see what it looks like there, guys. If you guys are taking a look at the screen, it's actually a very, very good track from what I understand. It's a good layout, and as far as where the turns are, and we're gonna be on. And by the way, my seats are in the grandstand in turn 18, right before you get to the final turn for the finish line, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
So,
I'm jealous.
Now, is this Carlos
wasn't easy.
Sainz or is this Charles Leclerc?
Well, it depends. We'd have to check the time on it, because if it's a fast lap, then we'll go with Leclerc.
Right.
Which is funny that someone mentioned.
Damn, man, you're taking shots at Carlos now? I thought he was your boy.
Carlos is my boy. Man, I love
You can send him back to McLaren if you don't want him. I'll take him back.
Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take it. I'll take it right
Take me with you, Fernando.
That's I wish, my brother. Listen, I can reserve 4 more tickets. We'll talk about it offline if you want. You might have to mortgage your house.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So
So there's
that's
the
what
track
it
right
is.
there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool because it's got the top left corner that's turn 18 right there. The top left corner. That's where will be the finish line.
Nice.
The finish line is you can see it there. Yeah, I don't know if you can make it larger, but the finish line is right in the middle of the where the hard rock. There's kind of like a straightaway right after it in the inside. So it's not a bad. I mean, you got some pretty tricky turns here in turn. I don't know what that is. It looks like it's turn 11 and 12.
Give me a second.
Right, turn 11 and 12.
I am working my magic right now. Give me a second.
Do it, baby, do it. But it's not a bad track at all. And it's not. I don't think you can see Walmart from there, Vish. So I think
I can't see the beach.
I don't think you can see Walmart. You have to look really close.
I mean, it's right there. We know where it is, dude. It's right there. What are you talking about?
You might be able to see the Sonic. You might be able to
It's
see
a
the
place
Sonic.
you try to. It's a place we try to illegally park during
Hey, where's the
Canes
Walmart?
games.
You can't even see the Walmart. What are you talking about, bro?
Did they
Where's the
airbrush it
Walmart?
out?
Listen. A lot of fans that are not going to be able to go to this are going to park their vehicles on the long side of the turnpike. All right,
my
and they're going to
God.
be looking from up there.
That's
trying
gonna
to
be
see
a
this
shit.
thing.
That's very Miami of them, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude,
So see,
imagine being the neighborhood behind turn 17 and 16. That's so damn
Yeah.
awesome. Do we
That's
freaking
pretty
hear
cool.
those cars?
You
Oh,
can just probably sit on your roof and maybe
Well,
catch.
that's called. I think that's called. That's a casino there. So I don't know if you'll. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad track. How do you guys feel about this?
I
Doesn't look
mean,
that bad. It's pretty cool.
it looks like a relatively challenging course, actually.
Yeah, I think 11, 12,
It
14,
it
and
definitely
15.
doesn't look as boring as Las Vegas. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I will say this: turns 14 and 15 look.
That's gonna be interesting there.
Oh
Yeah.
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 That one right there is. You better be able to hit your brakes right and make sure that you know how to power steer, because if not,
Yeah, there's that chicane at 14 and 15. Yeah.
That the little chicane there is interesting.
Mhm.
So that's what the track looks like. Patrick, I think it was the one that was asking.
no, Fernando, do not say that I gave you that
No,
idea.
don't-
All right, don't do that.
Jesus.
Nobody at 5 Reasons.
Oh man. So yes.
Watch people will be selling tickets for the little spot on the turnpike.
Guaranteed it's gonna happen. Yeah. it's gonna happen.
Scalping.
Yeah, they're gonna scalp. I mean, we're capital for that kind of crap anyway. So any final thoughts? Anything else you guys kind of want to talk about? I know, Manny, you might have had some thoughts there.
Yeah, so just want to go over a couple of these tweets here. Basically for me and Mercedes fans or anybody that was, they want to get more into it. So there's a tweet here from Dini. So according to Motorsport Italy, Mercedes is meant to bring in a new package of upgrades to the next races, more reasonably part Barcelona, obviously. However, within the issues they're facing, it's rumored that part of the upgrade package, the new floor, will come to the Australian Grand Prix.
Real quick, Jack. I don't know how many DRS zones, but I'll find that out. It's a good question. And I posted that.
For Australia.
Hold on. I want to correct myself for
us.
Sunday. I want to correct myself for Sunday. Somebody had tweeted that this was the third team that Max Verstappen has actually gotten first place. I'm sorry, the fourth team that or something.
It's
that
a fourth engine.
Fourth engine or something. Correct. Yeah. So after a couple of days, somebody actually corrected me, and I wanted to bring this tweet up here. It's actually just 3. It's Honda, Red Bull, and Tag. That's it. Number 17, right there.
Yeah.
Most wins with different engines. I'm sorry. Somebody had tweeted 4. I forget who it was, and I had said 4, which would have obviously put them in top 5. But
I thought it was 4. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it was only 3. But still, that's in a heck like that right there. Kind of tells you, if your driver is an all-star, if your driver can't handle anything. Like Latifi, every time he crashes, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, buddy. You don't know how to drive. That's what happened.
No kidding. Oh man. Next race up is Australia, the Australian Grand Prix. We will get into that a little bit more.
Ricardo needs to have a good showing, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, he needs to have a drivable car too.
And
Yeah.
We're gonna all need a lot of coffee for that one. That is a middle of the night affair.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, late night with the hitting the Apex crew. I like it.
Jazz, am I coming over?
Sure.
Hey.
Hey man, this is a family show. Keep that stuff off.
What? We're talking about racing.
Late night with
Yeah, sure.
I like it.
Late night with.
I'm sorry, Vince, if you go to bed at 10 p.m.
Look,
Dude,
as it is, the name of the show is
Past your
Time and
bedtime,
Back,
man.
right? Late night hitting the Apex. That sounds kind of dirty. But anyways, I'm sorry. I a little.
Hey guys, all in all, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that Saudi Arabia was like a major test for the drivers and the teams, considering all the crazy things and the bombing that just casually happened during race weekend. But I think it was because I was remembering at the very beginning, Vish, when you, I think it was Vish, that you asked like why would they have like 2 back-to-back races to like start off the season. I think that this gives the teams like somewhat of an outlook. And now that they have like the bye week ahead, they have like more time, as I said earlier, to put everything on the table, have a little bit more time to plan, and just look ahead for Australia. And hopefully, Ricardo,
Please.
hopefully he gets a point or two.
I just want both our drivers to finish in the top 10 for like.
Hey, Norris got points in Saudi Arabia. Things are turning around. We'll
I hope
see.
so. I really hope so, man.
I'd love to see Ricardo get on the podium. I'd love to see him get on.
Oh,
I mean, let's hold on. Let's slow down a little bit, man.
That would be amazing. That would just be amazing, though, right? Like
he was so close in like 2018. I think he finished 4th.
Yeah, he always messes up at Australia to begin with. This car's not getting anywhere near a podium, dude. What are you talking about?
It's wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
We should a 10-car pile up at the first turn, and maybe
right.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, I am
breakdowns or safety cars or all that crap.
I am looking forward to see if Alonso and Ocon still go at it throughout the whole season.
They will.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh yeah, they will.
I think because my surprise finish was Ocon in 5th, but I think he really doesn't give a shit about Alonso. He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
He's never cared about his team. He knows.
No, he's never cared about.
Yeah, he's never cared because he knows. Like he's tired of always being the second fiddle. It's always been the second fiddle, no matter what team he's been on.
Well, he's been the second fiddle because he's not a pay driver, so he's always been the more talented driver, but the one that's expendable.
But you can't be a paid driver unless you prove yourself somehow, some way when the opportunities are there.
No. The pay drivers are the ones that get in because they have money coming in behind them. That's how like Mazepin ends up in there. Ocon's family is not wealthy, and he had to work his way into the sport, so he does have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to go at anyone.
Huge credit to the Haas team. Down driver and
back-to-back finishes and the point.
Top 9.
The first time since 2019 they finished back-to-back races in the point.
That is awesome.
It's a very, very happy household in the Steiners room.
Hey, let's see what we do for. I know we've got a week before.
Before we end, man, why are we taking shots at Montoya? That guy was good.
Man,
what are we talking about? Why? Did you mix him up with Pastor Maldonado or something? What are you talking about? Montoya was excellent.
Yeah, he was a great driver. So
yeah, then he went and did well in NASCAR. He won the Indy 500 in kart. That man can drive the hell out of a car. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
By the way, what do you guys think of Aston Martin? Not really a great start.
Well,
they didn't have a good year last year.
Well, it's the driver. I'm like, Nico's a pretty good driver.
Hulkenberg is terrible. I don't think he's good.
No, I think once they switched from Racing Point to Aston Martin, it's gone like downhill for some reason. Because the year before they finished in 4th. In 2020 they finished in 4th in the constructors, and then last year they finished 7th or 8th. Yeah. And then this year they haven't had a good showing so far.
Yeah, but that year they that's when they stole Mercedes' design. That's why they finished up there. That wasn't actually them.
I mean,
hey, whatever it takes, baby.
Well, I mean, they basically copied Mercedes' car for the previous year, which is faster than most teams' cars at that point. So
they pulled like a Bill Belichick move and copied some team's game plan and all that kind of thing.
We can all agree with that one. That yes, we can all agree there because I don't think anybody here is a Belichick fan, so that's fine. We can agree with that one here. That's it, fellas and ladies.
All right.
That's it.
So we're not going to have a controversial conversation on how in the final lap it went yellow, green, and how Charles Leclerc was right behind Max, and he was unable to do his DRS move because of the not knowing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, man, they were on.
Notice how I waited to the end of the show.
He had no grip. He had no grip on the tires. I don't think he was going to get past them again. But was there an opportunity? Sure, but I even with DRS, I don't know if Leclerc. I mean, you saw both of them were sliding a lot. Towards that final.
Their rear ends were just not good.
Yeah, they weren't. They didn't have any grip, so I don't know if.
Verstappen won, Fernando. Just to let you know.
Oh, is that what he was asking?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming sarcastically.
I thought it was sarcastic.
Because I think that Fernando's on money's side, so obviously he knows that shit's
I know.
Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just, I was being sarcastic right back. I'm just that way.
The guy with the lips. He's
Okay,
one.
okay, okay, okay. It's
Max
official. It's
Verstappen.
official. Breaking: Las Vegas to host Formula One night race.
There you go.
It's official.
Oh, wow.
Night
Yeah.
race. Nice.
Ah,
There we go.
yeah, it's gonna be a night
Guys,
race.
we're
Is gonna be
breaking.
awesome.
Guys, we're breaking the. Oh my god!
You heard it here first. No, you really
You
didn't.
literally heard it here first.
On hitting
We
the
might
apex.
be given that most
man.
Formula One
Night race-
content is
a night
produced in
race?
Europe. We probably are one of the few shows that are live when this news broke. So
This is true.
Yeah.
Night race on Saturday night in Las Vegas.
Look at that.
Very cool.
what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? It's Vegas, baby. What could go wrong?
Vegas, middle of the night. I wonder what could go wrong.
Look at
there.
that, man. Look at that.
That's gonna be awesome.
Can we actually see that track again so I can be like, holy shit, like this feels like a drag race.
No, it's pretty much the Indy 500 and Formula One.
Look at that, man.
It's either a bunch of left or
Yo,
right turns.
is Formula One gonna get permission to use NOS here or something? Like,
Ford,
holy
yeah,
shit,
Ford-
I mean, they have
490
DRS.
turns.
That's the same thing.
490-degree turns, and that's it.
It does look a little like the old Hockenheim track, if you guys remember that one. And then
Oh,
they
yeah.
got rid of the part where it goes through the forest and made it more twisty. But it used to just be like long straights with a little.
Yeah.
It looks a little like that one.
That's crazy. That's a look right now. If you just look at that race, who is that? Who is that circuit built for?
Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Red Bull. That's a Red Bull track.
I mean, it's also a Ferrari track because they go really nice on the street this year, too.
They do. But man.
I mean,
they
we
are
don't
so
know
fast,
a year
dude.
from now, November, who's going to be doing what.
It could be McLaren. Who knows?
I mean,
Anyway,
we kind of know it's not going to be that, but I wouldn't rule out at that point Mercedes being in front of everyone. So.
Formula One has a message for us. You want to see it?
Sure.
Yeah, hold on. But Jack, by the way, hold on. Jack put up a question here. Will all your F1 recap shows be Wednesday nights? Yes, but we also have a post-race reaction. That's what you want to tune into right after every single race. Yeah, and it's on podcast. So if
Every show gets potted.
If you don't get to watch it, you can always listen to it on your car on your way to work.
Ay, Fernando, Dios mío.
But yeah, Jack, you'll be able to see the recap show.
Dude, what the hell was that, Nick? You're about to get booted permanently out of this entire show.
It's an M. It's an M.
Okay, I thought you were doing the U down, and there was about to be a war on here.
Jack,
No, I wouldn't do
hold
that.
on. Time out. Hold on. Can we finish this? This is important. At the end of every race, we do a post-race reaction show. Okay, so Jack could take a look at those. Those are really good. They're usually 15, 20 minutes long, but they've got a lot of info there. And then every Wednesday night, we will have a total recap of everything, and we will look ahead to the following week's race as well. So make sure you keep it locked on that. And we do qualifying shows also. So right after qualifying, we do talk a little bit. Go ahead, and without further ado, Manny freaking Chang.
Oh.
That's it.
I mean, they're not going to have the track ready.
I mean, that's worse than the production value I put into Sixth Ring, man. What is that?
I know, Jesus. This could have done that without a problem.
I mean, I would have forgotten to hit record, and it would have been better off for it, to be honest.
No,
So.
I can't believe Vegas is gonna.
Oh man, but that's cool. That's exciting.
So,
On that
question.
race, I think we'll definitely be there.
Question. Is the Canadian GP still in this year or no? Do we know?
I think it was supposed to be, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So if the Canadian GP is in, next year there will be 5 races in North America.
Pretty awesome.
Yes. No, Fernando. Was he booing the race?
No. He was booing the video.
Oh.
Oh.
I mean that's true, but
Yeah.
So what? Oh, because you got Mexico.
Ever again.
Yeah, Mexico, Canada, and then
Mexico,
3 in the
Canada, and then
US.
3 in the US.
So,
Pretty cool.
I pull the schedule up. Canada is June 17th to 19th.
There you go.
All right, awesome. Oh man, all right, guys. Well, appreciate you coming on, Moni, Nick. You guys did an awesome job. Vish and Manny as well. Thank you everybody who joined us on the show. Gus, Jack Daniels, Fernie,
Patrick.
Patrick was his name. Patrick and the rest of the bunch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you get a chance, make sure you go to Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel, subscribe, smash the like button. Make sure you follow us on Twitter also at F1_5 Reasons. Make sure you check us out there, or you can just type in Hitting the Apex. Follow us all on Twitter as well. As you can see, everybody's got their handle here at Moni Lebro, at Nick's Takes 22, VRP 2003. I don't know what the hell Manny's is, but it's Pigskin Cards 17. I don't know what the hell he was thinking when he did that, but Pigskin Cards 17 over there. I don't have mine on here, but it's very simple.
Such a hater.
It's just put an ad in front of my name and you got it. So make sure you check us
Subscribe
out.
to our podcast, Apple,
Yes.
Spotify, Anchor. Every single show that we have on YouTube gets put on the pod right after the show.
So you can listen to it when you're on a date.
Now you can drive, you can work out.
Yeah.
You
And
can hear Vicious hot take of the week.
well, in case, and if you want to play, instead of playing sexy music on a date, just play the podcast. It'll do the same. It'll have the same effect. Trust me.
There you go. Just add a little saxophone to it, and you'll be good.
We got Vish for that, right? Vish, you can have the saxophone in the background.
I mean, I live in the middle of Washington D.C., so I could get some bums on here if you
There
want
you
that.
go.
But
Hey, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, man. I get it.
Jesus, what's wrong with you
Whoa,
guys?
what's going on here? I'm all the way at West Kendall.
I do like Raleigh, though. I'm a fan of Raleigh. I like Raleigh. All right, guys. Anyways, we're out of here.
Next week we will
out
be
of time.
previewing Australian Grand Prix. We're going to be seeing obviously
Yes.
what the new teams, top teams, will be doing. We know what Mercedes will be doing. That's definitely not
Losing?
to get booted out in Q1.
Cool, man.
All right.
Instead of Ferrari, let's ride.
Adios.